A very good evening, dear friends. Let us continue with the poem Ode to the West Wind, Canto 2. In this canto, the poet is talking about the mighty nature of the west wind and its effect on the clouds. Let us read the poem. Thou on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean. Now the poet says that the clouds are withered apart, the cottony clustered mass of the clouds is fragmented into withered apart portions high up in the blue sky. And the withering of the cloud is just similar to the earth's decaying leaves as we have seen in the autumn season referred in Canto 1. And then the appearance or the imagery which the poet creates here is of a tangled bow, that is a big tree, a mammoth tree, with its canopy there high in the heaven and its roots there high, low in the ocean. This canopy of the tree has got the cottony cluster of the clouds, and when it is shook by the effect of the west wind, it gets withered away. And once it gets withered away, there is a fragmented portion of clouds here and there in the sky. Though heaven and ocean here can be referred as the oxymoron, that is a literary device you must refer to. Then, along with the advent of the clouds and withering apart of the clouds later, there is the arrival of rain and lightning, which are the close associates of the cloud. They are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge. So the clouds are spread on the blue surface of the sky, and the lightning and the rain can also be felt. And there is a simile like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce maid. Now the god of wine has got a disciple which has been referred here as the maid. And maid, when they're in an irritated expression, gives an appearance of the hair spread wide apart, and the clouds give the similar appearance as that of the fierce or irritated minute. Even from the scope of the horizon of the zenith's height, the locks of approaching storm. So there is the huge approximation of the clouds getting into the different areas with the effect of the west wind. Those can be at the high up position, they're at the zenith's height, or at a low down position, they are near the sea. So these clouds, as seen in the first line, are flowing like a stream from higher to a lower position. Of the dying year, thou dirge of the dying year, now there is a sad song which is played by the west wind of the dying year. Why? Because autumn is at a very fag end of the year, and at that time there is a saddened nature of the year getting its job over. So it is no less than a sad song which is played with the effect of west wind, to which this closing night will be a dome of vast sculpture. Now this whole night, this dark night, after the clouds get withered apart and the night arrives, this black night will appear as a dome, as a grave, where a very sad song would be played. Why there is a sad song to be played? Because the year is about to get over. Vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors, that is, all the clouds together, but the clouds would no more appear to be cottony. Why? Because now it is the night time. So, night metaphorically refers to death, it refers to the end, it refers to the fag end of the year here, although it is the diurnal end of the day, but it gives an appearance of the end of the year also. from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire hail will burst. Now, why black rain? Again, it is a saddened reference, it is a metaphorically sad reference. Fire, lightning, and hail, that is, the rain will come out, or the vapors will condense in different forms. At the end, there is an addressal. Oh, here, that is west wind. Can you hear? Can you hear us addressing you? So, this is the end of Canto 2. This is altogether a difficult poem to understand. You really have to stop here and there to understand the intricacies. I'll just repeat it for you like stream here has been referred, flowing down routine from the clouds, then commotion, that is the motion of the clouds on account of the west wind. Then there is the reference of the tangled bows and shaking apart of the tangled bows, and then heaven and ocean, that is again a paradoxical reference. Then we have got the next one. There is a biblical reference of Maenad, and then zenith is another biblical reference, and then there is a metaphorical reference of the night and the sadirgy, which refers to the end of the season. So good lot of literary devices and good lot of semantic association, and the critical unfolding is right in front of you. I hope you have enjoyed it. We'll continue with the third canto, which I can have it there in this video itself. In the third canto, the poet is talking about the effect of the west wind on the oceans as well as the sea. Now he talks about the west wind traveling first at the Mediterranean, then at the Atlantic Ocean, and finally withering apart the vegetation underneath the sea. Let us see how it goes about. Thou who didst waken from his summer, the blue Mediterranean. Now, the blue Mediterranean otherwise has been referred here as a sleeping watery body during the time of summer, and suddenly it has to wake up because of the effect of the west wind. Otherwise, it was having a comfortable stay, comfortable sleepy routine with a lullaby played by the crystalline stream, the clear waters, giving a musical effect mixing with the Mediterranean Sea. But all of a sudden, it wakes up when there is an advent of the west wind. Then, in the second paragraph, the poet dreams of a palace and about the towers there in the palace. And that palace and the towers is created at a pumice isle, that is an island created by the volcanic eruption, and the geographical area here referred to as Bays Bay there in the Naples region near Italy. And when it this palace and the towers, they get withered apart and they mix with the Mediterranean Sea, the water with its ripples give the effect as if those palaces and the towers are moving actually in the sea. So, a beautiful imagery created by the poet. And then the poet further speaks about the overgrowth of the moss and the flowers on the walls of the palaces and the towers, all overgrown with azure moss and flowers so sweet. Now he says that those palaces were the beautiful, dreamy creation which the poet has seen in his imagination, which he refers now in his words, and he says that those palaces had walls with the mossy clusters and the flowery portions there, giving a velvety appeal, and it also gives a fragrant odor which is very sweet, and which, if presumed by way of the senses, the sense faints picturing them, it may give a fainting routine to someone who would have sensed, who would have inhaled those fragrant odors created by the flowery associations on the walls of these beautiful palaces and the towers referred, though for whose path the Atlantic level pass. After the Mediterranean seas, this west wind takes a course there to the Atlantic Ocean. And all of a sudden, it creates a terror over there also, cleave themselves into channels. It creates small channels of the big ocean, while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods which wears the sapless foliage of the ocean. That is, there is a withering apart of the vegetation underneath the ocean, and all the aquatic plants they also lose their foliage and they become gray with fear, with the voice created by the thundering effect of the west wind. And there is a trembling, and these leaves they despoil themselves, they wither apart, and that is the terror created by the west wind the poet has referred to. So, this is the end of the third canto. I'll share the fourth as well as fifth canto there in the next video.